Negative keywords are massively undervalued and underutilized by Google advertisers. They can save you a ton of money and significantly improve the performance of your Google ad campaigns. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a negative keyword list and how to find keywords to add to a negative keyword list. So let me start by quickly explaining what a negative keyword actually is. So a negative keyword is a keyword that you can use to prevent your ads from being shown to searches that you don't want your ads to be shown for. Where you're saying to Google, look, if someone searches for something that includes this word, don't put my ad in front of them because this person is highly unlikely to become a lead of mine or a sale. They're just going to waste my budget. They're not going to become a customer or take the action that I want them to take. I'll give you an example to help demonstrate this, right? So let's say, for example, your business, you sell leather sofas. That's what you offer. You want to add as a negative keyword the word free because you do not want your ads to be shown when someone is searching for free leather sofas. And of course, people will be doing that because they'll be looking for secondhand ones, maybe on like Facebook Marketplace or on other sites where you can grab this sort of stuff. So you absolutely do want to make sure that you exclude those searches, because if someone's looking for a secondhand one that's free, maybe quite beat up, and you sell nice new ones, particularly if you sell premium luxury new ones, you absolutely don't want your ads to be shown to people searching for that. That is going to be a waste of money. So you add in free as a negative keyword, and that prevents your ad from being shown, prevents you from potentially wasting budget on someone that's just not going to become a customer of yours. Now that's quite a simple and obvious example, and you can get way more sophisticated and specific with your negative keywords. And just to emphasize how important negative keywords are and how much time and effort we put into negative keywords, I want to quickly show you this, right? So I'm in our manager account, our Google Manager account here. If I go here on campaigns, I go to audiences keywords, then click on keywords, and then select negative keyword. Now this is across the accounts that we manage. There's gonna be hundreds of accounts in here. But if I scroll down, you can see how many negative keywords we've got in total across the accounts that we manage. It is currently 523,782. And I think what that really emphasizes is that our job as a Google Ads agency, and your job as a Google advertiser, is to get the best possible return on ad spend. Not to get your ad in front of as many people as possible, not to get your ad in front of anyone that's searching for anything related to your products or services. You want, for every pound, every dollar, every whatever you spend on Google Ads, it to come back as much as possible, to get the best possible return. And negative keywords is one of the best tools that you have at your disposal to be able to do that. I've given an obvious example where, of course, if we sell leather sofas, we don't want our ads appearing for someone searching for free leather sofas. But you can get a lot more specific than that. So let's say, for example, you just sell brown leather sofas. Well, you might want to include the other colors of leather sofa that people are using to search as negative keywords. Now, those people may well be interested in your products. They might be searching for a black leather sofa, but if they see a nice brown one, they might buy that. But that search, that doesn't represent the best possible opportunity for you to get a conversion. That person is not as likely to convert as someone that's either searching without a color within their search, or they're searching specifically for brown leather sofas. So we can look to exclude searches that may well become customers, but they're not as likely to do so as other searches. The cost per conversion is likely to be higher. Potentially even the ROAS will be lower because the customer value is not going to be as good. So we've built out very extensive negative keyword lists that look like we're excluding a lot of potential customers. And we are, but this business really wants to focus on the premium end of their market. And they really want to exclude anyone that's not going to buy and be within the top 10% of their customer base, not going to spend a lot of money with them, and they have all sorts of data that work out, okay, these are the customers with the best customer lifetime value, and this is what we really want to focus in on. So we're looking to exclude a lot of potential customers and only focus in on those best possible prospects. That is not the way to get the most clicks. That is not even often the way to get the lowest cost per conversion, but it might get you the best return on ad spend because the customers generated in that instance are more valuable. So hopefully that sort of emphasizes the importance of negative keywords. You understand what they are. Let's go about creating our negative keyword list. So let me show you how you actually create a negative keyword list. Right, so I'm in overview here. If you go on campaigns and then you go into audiences, keywords and content, click on keywords, then select negative keywords, click on this plus button, and we can create our negative keyword list. Just to quickly mention that the default here is add negative keywords or create new list, but you can use an existing negative keyword list. So if you create a list and then want to go ahead and apply it to different campaigns, that is absolutely an option, something to be aware of. You can see here Google's very simple description of what a negative keyword is. Negative keywords can prevent your ad from showing to people who search for or browse content related to those words. So also, I've talked about this in a search capacity, can also apply to other campaign types as well, because it includes, like, for example, browse behavior, and that informs the other campaign types and the targeting. Then we need to decide at which level do we want this negative keyword list or these negative keywords to apply. So we've got an option of campaign or ad group. Most businesses are going to go with campaign, and that's fine. There are going to be some negative keywords that you want to apply across the board. You're like, look, if anyone's searching for something that's related to this or includes this, like, no. We don't want our ads to show. But sometimes there might be scenarios where you can get more specific than that. You might have one ad group where you're like, yeah, we don't want our ads to show if someone searches for this or anything including this for this ad group, but actually it'd be fine in this context because maybe in some instances we only have products or services you have to pay for, and in other times we're advertising free stuff. So if you're advertising free stuff in another circumstance, well, then it would be fine to have the word free because we're advertising a free lead magnet or a giveaway or something like that, right? It would be appropriate. So I'm going to go with campaign, but just know that you can get more specific at the ad group level, and something that we often do. What often happens is as you're building out your negative keyword list, you add in negative keywords and you go, oh, actually, we don't want that to apply to everything. It could apply here, but not here. And then obviously you just need to select a campaign and go ahead and choose which one, make sure you get that set up, and then you are all good to go. So then when it comes to negative keywords, there are some obvious options that just about every business would want to use. Obviously, sense check this through your product offerings. So I've already talked about things like free. Other examples might be cheap, cheapest. But again, if that's what you're competing on price, and that's your main selling point, then definitely don't add those in. And you might want to add in things like Amazon, again, unless you're selling via Amazon. You might also want to add in specific brand names. I'll just write brand names in there. It might be that you sell products within a certain category, but you only sell certain brands, or you only sell your own brands, and you don't want your ads showing up for people that are specifically looking for other brands. Even if they click on your ads, they're very unlikely to convert. That's just a waste of money. So those are some very obvious options that you might want to think about and include, and there's probably going to be things that immediately come up in your mind thinking, oh yeah, within our industry, within our niche, anyone searching for this, that's not all we do. A good example of that might be for, say, an accounting business that will handle your tax and your year-end accounts, but they don't do bookkeeping. So in that case, if that's not a service you offer, you'd absolutely want to make sure that you include bookkeeping as a negative keyword, because a lot of people will be thinking about and searching for those services in combination. They'd be like, I want an accountant that does my accounts and then also handles my books and etc. But if you don't serve that, make sure you include that as a negative keyword, and then you'll avoid a lot of the people that are looking for that in conjunction, and you can just focus in on the people that you can actually serve according to what it is that you offer. Hyros is fantastic tracking and attribution software and can really help you improve your Google Ad results. It's a software that all the big players in the industry use, including myself. I use it to track results for my own ads across multiple platforms, including Google Ads, and all my organic results as well, which is super helpful. So if someone, for example, comes through and books a call for our done-for-you services, I can see exactly where that person came from. This is particularly important if you're running ads across multiple channels or generating customers organically as well. Without accurate data, you are flying blind, and knowledge is power. So let me show you how important this is. So I'm here in my Hyros dashboard. I'm going to take a look at the data and the results that Hyros has been able to track and compare those to what I'm seeing within my Google Ad account for the same campaign. So this is a Google Ad campaign that we've been running. We're only looking at data for a few days here, but it really demonstrates what's going on. So you can see Hyros has registered 6 leads generated, a cost per lead of just over £15, 75 clicks. It's just a branded search campaign, hence why the CTR is 30%. So not a huge amount going on, but representative, right? So that's the data we can see within Hyros. If I jump over to my Google Ad account, we look at the exact same campaign, same time frame. We've got May 21st to 27th. You can see a lot of the data matches up, right? We've got 75 clicks, 30% CTR just like before. But if we scroll over, you can see that Google has only registered 3 conversions as opposed to the 6. So it's registered half the number of conversions. And I can tell you, looking at the back-end data, that the 6 from Hyros is the accurate number. And that's why this is so important, because we might look at the Google Ads data and come to the wrong conclusion, think this isn't profitable, turn stuff off when we shouldn't, but we can verify it with the Hyros data and make much better, more informed decisions and end up with better overall ad results because of it. So if you want to improve the performance of your Google Ad campaigns and be able to see exactly where your leads and sales are coming from, go ahead and sign up to Hyros. There is a link in the video description. The next thing I'd very, very strongly recommend you do regularly is check your search terms report, where you can see all the searches that have already caused your ads to be shown, and you are basically guaranteed to regularly find searches in there that have caused your ads to be shown that you don't like. You're like, that was a waste of money, didn't want my ads to be shown to those searches, and you can find those and then add those as negative keywords and prevent your ads from being shown to searches like that again in the future. So the way you do that is you go into Insights and Reports, click on Search Terms, and then we can see it broken down. So you can just take a look at the search terms and have a look through and think, yeah, okay, there's going to be options that you just look at and go, no, that's not right, that's not right, that's not us. You can just go ahead and select and then click Add as a negative keyword. We can also get really specific and detailed about this and have a look at these search terms in relation to performance. So you can scroll over to the right and you might need to adjust your columns to be able to see this data, and we can have a look at all sorts of things like impressions and clicks and all that sort of stuff. But you can also have a look at what you might be optimizing for, something like cost per conversion or ROAS, for example. And then you can see, okay, this search term is generated this cost per conversion, this one's generated this cost per conversion. You will need quite a lot of data to be able to see at that level. So you may or may not have that, or you might not have that for a while. So there's sort of two layers to this. The first is just sense check those search terms and add as a negative keyword if you think this just is obviously not right or not what we want to focus on. And then once you get more data, you can also go through this and be like, I thought this search term was going to perform well, but actually looking at the data, it just does not do as well as other search terms. So let's go ahead and add that in, get rid of it, and focus on other ones that we believe will get us a better return on ad spend, which, like I said, is your number one job as a Google advertiser. Best return on ad spend possible, allows for reinvestment and scaling and all the stuff we want to do with our Google ads. And like I said, you need to do this regularly. Check your search terms report. Depending on your search volume, how many impressions you're getting with your Google ads, depends on how often you need to do this. But in an ideal world, multiple times per week, so you can really stay on top of stuff. And if your ads are appearing for searches that you don't want, you can take action quickly and save a lot of budget by adding in those negative keywords and making sure that your budget gets focused on searches you actually want your ads to appear for. The next thing I'd recommend is using the Google Keyword Planner and having a look at which keywords, which search terms come up when you enter in the main terms that you're going to be advertising on, right? So if I go into Tools and then Planning and then click on the Keyword Planner, go ahead and click on Discover New Keywords. And then in here, I can enter in the main search terms that I am actually looking to target. So for example, if we were advertising our own services, one of the terms that we would be looking to bid on would be my own name, Ben Heath. I've got a personal brand, people know who I am. They might not know the name of my agency, so they might be looking based on my name, right? So that'd be one thing that we'd be looking to bid on. But if we go ahead and search for Ben Heath, and I use this example for a reason, and then we have a look at the options that come up that Google suggests, we've got Ben Heath Lead Guru. That was an old brand name. We haven't used that in a long time, but that's absolutely fine. But then we've got Ben Heath Poker, Ben Heath Poker Stars, Benjamin Heath Poker. Now, I am not a poker player. I have nothing to do with poker, but there is a professional poker player called Ben Heath. So that's why I use this example. We would absolutely want to make sure that we've got poker, poker stars, all that sort of stuff added as negative keywords, because we do not want our ads showing up for our Google ad services or our Meta ad services for someone that's trying to find out what the Ben Heath, who is a poker player, is up to, right? That's going to be a waste of budget. Even if they click on their ads, they're immediately going to realize, nah, this isn't right. This is for an ad agency, and quickly get out of there. Now you can enter in all sorts of search terms, things that you do want to target, go through that list, and you will find often examples like this. There's only 6 here because it's quite a specific keyword. If you add in other keywords to do with your product or services, you'll probably get a longer list. And just go through and be like, nah, that's not right. If someone's searching for that, I can see why our ads might appear because it's related, but actually that's not correct. And what you see through the keyword planner is how Google is thinking about and grouping keywords. So in Google's mind, the search term Ben Heath, or the keyword Ben Heath, is very closely related to Ben Heath Poker. And I could totally understand why Google wants that. But I know that from the intent of the searcher, if they're looking for me and my ads agency, that's not related to the Ben Heath Poker player. And likewise the other way around, right? They're looking for the Ben Heath Poker player, that's nothing to do with me. So yeah, so go through and enter in the keywords that you actually want to target up here and see what comes up, and you'll almost certainly find a bunch that you want to add as negative keywords. Ideally, you do this for all your main keywords that you want to target. Yes, that can be time consuming, particularly if you're going to be targeting a lot of keywords, but it can be worth it, because if you don't find those negatives beforehand, you're going to find out in your search terms report, and you'll have already spent money from ads that have been put in front of those people and clicks that have been generated. Or one thing I didn't do right at the beginning of this section is select a location. I just used the UK, be aware of that I've seen people use the keyword planner, not realize that they're advertising a different location to what they're based in. This is default to the UK because we're in the UK, but if we're advertising, it would absolutely be UK, US, etc. Just quickly wanted to mention that so you don't run into that issue. Make sure that is selected to where you are going to be advertising. And when you go through these various options to find your negative keywords and add them to your negative keyword list, you will very quickly end up with a negative keyword list that is much, much larger than your keyword list. And that is as it should be. Remember at the beginning of the video, across the accounts that we're managing, we have 523,000 negative keywords. There won't be anywhere near that many keywords being targeted across those ad accounts. So that's absolutely fine. That's as it should be. Yes, this is effort. Yes, this takes time. There's more and more pushback from Google advertisers saying, well, I don't need to do that. Google's optimizing for what it is that I want. I can just let Google have at it. I can tell you now, the accounts that perform best are absolutely utilizing Google's AI and their smart bidding to help them get what they want. They are even, in many cases, using things like AI Max, Google's automated search campaign features to help get better performance out of search and have less input as a Google advertiser. But the ones that get the best results also have very well built out negative keyword lists, and the advertiser in charge of it takes action and takes control of the elements where they can help improve performance. Yes, we want to leverage and utilize the AI, but trusting it completely, you are leaving money on the table. So where you can step in and you have context that the AI does not, and you have experience around what it is you're selling that the AI does not, and you can come in and adjust things. And also, you've got to think about these systems are going to be applied broadly across businesses within your category. So that's a lot of what the machine learning and AI systems use, right? They use the data from, okay, we know that this keyword converts well across this category. We're going to put ads in front of here. This business has told us that they want more purchases. Great, we're going to bid here. But there might be specific nuance to your business and your specific circumstances and your offering that, again, you have and the AI does not. So absolutely you want to use both. And taking the time and effort to check things like search terms report, ag and negative keywords is really wasted time if you want better Google Ad results. And if you'd rather we just did this for you, we have full done for you Google Ad services. We can create, manage and optimize your campaigns. We can take not only your negative keyword list, but everything Google Ads related off your hands and almost certainly help you get better results. There is a link in the video description in case you're interested. So you now know how to create a negative keyword list and how to find keywords to add to your negative keyword list, but do you know how to build a keyword list in the first place? A keyword list that can produce really good results for your business. If you don't, check out this video here. I go through it in detail, exactly what I'd recommend. Again, being able to leverage what you can do manually and the experience and context you have on top of the AI systems that can help you out is often the best way to go. I'll show you how to do that right here.